Stewart. I got a little picture there drawn for you. What's happening? We got a show for you tonight. My God. John Mulaney's going to be joining me later. Fresh off of his hit Netflix show, Squid Game. Yeah. First, but let me just say this to start off. Just to start off. Weekend. This weekend. Terrible. Again. I'm so sorry. Friday. We were in the office on Friday. We planned a very fun show. It was going to be light-hearted. We were going to come out here, talk about little Kim Jong-Trump and his big military parade / quinceañera and how it meant that we all live in North Korea now, and all the hyperbole of this massive display of American military power really butted up against what the parade actually was, which was this. Was that tank squeaking? We have $1 trillion budget for the military. Nobody's got WD-40. Nobody. Squeaky tank. Nobody can just go in there. This was less a show of overwhelming force and more like a military museum getting in its steps. It was actually kind of nice and fun. It took you through the history of the Army, from its days of tri-cornered hats and muskets to its brave future as robot dog walkers. Hey. Who's going to clean up these ball bearings? You just going to... Who's got a 3-kiloton explosive nose? You do. You do. Can I boop? No, probably not. But for all the hype, it was a relatively reserved, not particularly well-attended event that left all the VIPs lucky enough to see it bored out of their f***ing minds. Meanwhile, the real crowds turned out for the No Kings March, where millions gathered in cities all across the country to protest our slow descent into authoritarian dystopia. They protested and showed off all the hats they made. And in Boston, the No Kings Parade conveniently coincided with the Pride Parade. And it was... wait a minute. The gays have developed robot dogs as well? The gays have the advanced technology? Or are those just the gay robot dogs that Secretary of Defense Hegseth wouldn't allow to serve openly in our other army? Is that... They're not allowed to serve? Well, guess what, Secretary Hegseth? They are serving. The point is, No Kings appeared to be a rousing success, and the military parade's failure to succeed in its grandiose objectives can be described in really this one Fox News clip, and I promise you, we did not edit this in any way.
If I was the Ayatollah watching Fox News coverage, which I hope he is, of this parade, I would be very frightened, and I would be thinking twice about whether I want to retaliate against the United States.
The Ayatollah would be frightened. They're waving. Does the Ayatollah know the Americans have obtained jazz hands? Surrender or dance! But as always, reality was no match for President Donald Trump, who set a very specific and low bar of success for his birthday parade.
Last night was a tremendous success with a fantastic audience. It was supposed to rain. They gave it a 100% chance of rain, and it didn't rain at all. It was beautiful.
Nothing says I just turned 79 like shouting about how the weather forecast was wrong. It was a tremendous success. They said it would rain. I knew it wouldn't rain. You know how I knew? My right knee didn't bark. It's gonna rain, it always barks. You see? That show about that stuff. Fun, carefree, light, enjoyable. Old man talking weather, gay robot dogs. The world that could have been, you, the viewer, would have enjoyed. But the reason why we couldn't spend the whole show on the parade, perhaps the reason why the parade wasn't as extravagant as it could have been, was because our most impressive military shit this weekend was being used elsewhere.
Tonight, Israel announcing it has launched a military strike against Iran. Smoke seen rising in Tehran in video posted online.
And overnight, Iranian strikes in Israel. Retaliation, it says, for Israel's attack on its nuclear, military and energy infrastructure.
Now there are concerns about how much this could escalate.
Could escalate? The whole f***ing region is escalate. It's all on fire. This is a wedding video from Lebanon over the weekend. Missiles, fireworks, doesn't matter. I now pronounce you man and duck. But what happened with Iran? Weren't we about to make a nuclear deal? Wasn't our deal maker in chief making a deal to keep Iran from enriching uranium? Actually, didn't we have a deal before our deal maker in chief so wisely pulled us from that deal? Why did this have to go balmy on Iran now?
And by next spring, at most by next summer, at current enrichment rates, they will have finished the medium enrichment and move on to the final stage.
Iran is months away from having a nuclear bomb, says Netanyahu, in 2012. By the way, did Iran happen to get that bomb from a company called Acme? Like, will it be delivered to Israel on rocket-powered skates? Will it go off in a tumultuous meep? Seriously, why did we have to bomb Iran now?
Iran is so dangerous. Weeks away from having the fissile material for an entire arsenal of nuclear bombs.
Holy shit, that's why. Iran's only weeks away from having an entire arsenal of nuclear bombs, says Netanyahu. In 2015. 2015! Think about that. Back when we all thought, oh no, the Republicans might nominate that madman Jeb Bush. Should have gone with the question mark. No, seriously, I'm not being facetious. I really want to know why we had to bomb Iran now.
We're going to show you Iran's secret nuclear files. Here's the warhead. Here's the bomb.
And that's from 2018. I don't know if Iran is any closer to having a bomb, but it is clear Israel now has the capacity to enrich their drawings. Netanyahu, I swear to God, Netanyahu talks about Iran getting nukes the way I talk about the Knicks winning a title. This is the year. The Knicks are one piece away. weeks away from winning a title. But they never win the title. Of course, a hot war between Israel and Iran could threaten the United States. It's best we stay out of it.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio saying Israel took unilateral action against Iran and that the U.S. is not involved in strikes.
We're not involved. That's good. That's good.
The U.S. says it was informed beforehand.
Good neighbor policy. I mean, we were informed. They let us know. Still not being involved, really.
President Trump acknowledged yesterday that he was aware of the Israeli operation, and he gave it a green light.
They don't know what they're talking about. We were told, we approved. It's still Israel's game.
Israel used American equipment during its initial strikes against Iran.
What the f*** are we doing? All right, so we knew, and we approved, and we gave them all the shit to do it with. I'm confused. Are we involved? I think I need clarification from our parade grand marshal in chief.
The president made it clear that the United States is not involved. He wanted to make that very clear, but at the same time, it's possible that we could get involved, but we're not involved at this moment.
See? We're Switzerland. Perhaps the reason why the president is being cagey about all this is because not all of the MAGA are embracing Netanyahu's bomb fetishes.
We cannot be inexorably dragged into a war in the Middle East.
We put America first, and that means American interests first.
Our MAGA base, they do not want the United States to be engaged in this.
I don't know anyone that wakes up and thinks about bombing Iran.
She doesn't know anyone who wakes up and thinks about bombing Iran. I got to tell you. I don't think she knows anyone who wakes up and thinks. But credit. They enjoyed that one. But you know what? I'm going to say this. This may surprise some people. Credit where credit is due. I certainly have tremendous policy and, in some instances, space laser differences with these folks. But I applaud any group that is steadfast in a diplomacy-first posture. The only problem with their posture that I see with it is their reluctance to commit America's military to fighting drawn-out and often pointless wars doesn't seem to extend to America.
President Trump should fully deploy the military in the streets. Take back the streets of L.A. Do it and do it fast.
Huh? Doesn't want to be in Iran. He wants to be in L.A. He doesn't want to deploy the military overseas. He wants to save the military for the real threat, us. He's not being hypocritical, just fucking mind-blowing. The MAGA mindset appears to be, we didn't vote for foreign wars. We voted for civil war.
This is a war. The battle for America was going to take place in Los Angeles. The only way to win here is to double and triple down.
The current war that we are seeing waged by the Democrats, by the foreign nationals waving Mexican flags.
The city of Los Angeles is an occupied city. It is time to retake the cities of this country. It is time to use force.
What the f***? They are looking for any pretense. They are looking for any pretense to sick their robot dogs on Democrats. And the strategy that they're using is to inflate the threat that this country now faces, to so rile up their base as to make the left in this country, represented by over 75 million votes in the past presidential election, as a legitimate military target for the United States of America. It's a strategy that's been used before to gin up military conflict. See if you recognize it.
The good people of Iraq, they want a peaceful country. They want security.
The good people of Los Angeles deserve to be secure in their homes.
We're not going anywhere until there is a stable environment.
We're not going anywhere. We're here to maintain the peace.
Liberate Iraq from the tyranny.
Liberate the city from the socialists.
We will liberate the people of Iraq.
We will liberate Los Angeles.
We must! They don't understand yet. We must invade Los Angeles. We cannot have the world's most dangerous people eating the world's most delicious tacos. It's so fucking absurd to paint the opposition party in your country as a fifth column, an enemy from within. But again, like, I don't want to overreact. I don't want to strain the metaphor too much. It's not like the right is calling for the need for a kind of Iraq-like de-Baathification program to remove Democrats from government post-liberation.
We need like a de-Baathification program, fire every single mid-level bureaucrat, every civil servant in the administrative state, replace them with our people.
They're insane. By the way, was that guy's beard used to color J.D. Vance's eyes? So there you have it. We've got Israel stoking foreign wars. We've got the right in this country pushing for domestic war. And I haven't even gotten to the one thing this weekend that was actually really so f***ed up. It's almost too much show. You know, in fact, I'm going to break form. Let's take an intermission. Here we go. All right. Intermission over. Thank you. Welcome back to the show. All right. This is the kind of shit that I hate having to do on the show. But as you know, Minnesota was the site of horrible violence where a state house leader and her husband were killed. A state senator and his wife were shot. The only positive is that the person who perpetrated these acts has finally been caught. Finally. But what I was really struck by is what seemed to be on everybody's mind in the midst of this horror.
This morning, a lot of questions remain, like what was his motive?
Why? A motive? Why did he do this?
When do we learn about motive?
Everyone wants to know why, Bill.
His roommate, he says that the suspect was a Trump supporter.
This is a Tim Walz appointee. This is a Democrat.
I'm going to be honest, and I truly mean this. I mean no disrespect. Like, I don't give a f*** why this person did it. I just don't give a f***. I don't care. I don't care whose team he's on. I don't care if he listens to NPR or Fox News. I don't give a flying f***. What blows my mind is our resignation in the aftermath of this nonsense. What are you going to do? I don't know, put a shit ton of funding into mental health funding, put a shit ton of money into illegal weapons interdiction. Maybe that chip, maybe the, what do you call it there? Maybe the chip that Bill Gates had injected in all of us during COVID could have a self-destruct button? Take people out before they do this shit? For God's sakes, can't we do that? Grubhub knows when I want pizza. You don't think Grubhub doesn't know when people are getting murderous? What's the difference between hungry and hangry? What's the difference? We're willing to do things about other issues. We just heard about it. Why are they attacking Los Angeles right now? Why is the right so willing to tear our cities apart in this moment?
Dangerous criminals continue to flood our nation and kill our citizens.
This has to stop. I mean, I think about it for my grandkids. I mean, how safe are they in this society?
One woman or one child violated by an illegal alien is one too many.
The alarm bells were going off a long time ago. A lot of Democrats will defend this and say, well, you know, it's such a small percentage. They have blood on their hands, pure and simple. One is too many.
One is too many. One death. By the way, true. It is too many. Violence should never be accepted. It should never be tolerated. But that's for their issue. In the wake of Sandy Hook and Uvalde and Parkland and El Paso and Lewiston and Aurora and Buffalo and Boulder and Binghamton and Highland Park and Monterey Park and San Bernardino and San Jose and San Francisco and the Pulse nightclub and the Colorado Springs nightclub and the Little Rock nightclub and the Borderline Bar in Thousand Oaks and the Ned Peppers Bar in Dayton and the Waffle House in Nashville and Virginia Tech and UVA and MSU and UCSB and FSU and NIU and SMC and the Sutherland Springs Church and the Mother Emanuel Church in Charleston and the Living Church of God and the Tree of Life Synagogue and the Allen Mall and the Westroads Mall and Fort Hood and Lockheed Martin. And what are we f***ing doing? What are we doing? By the way, that is a wildly incomplete list. We kept it to the last 25 years, and it's still not everything. And what's their response to all that?
They're doing the same thing that they always do after there's a mass shooting. They politicize it.
The issue is not with the Second Amendment. Guns aren't the problem.
Does a gun commit crime?
Democrats want to take away your guns. They don't want to solve problems.
Turns out, when it comes to mass shootings, one's not too many. Actually, a shitload isn't too many. And by the way, you can say Second Amendment all you want, but you definitely don't seem to mind throwing out the Constitution when it comes to deportation. And I am legitimately asking this question. This is truly legitimate. Like, I know I can be like, but like, I am genuinely baffled. Why is it when a foreigner or someone that shouldn't be here kills one of us, we're going to put $150 billion into border security. We're going to militarize our cities. We're going to spend trillions of dollars to bomb and destabilize foreign countries overseas. We're going to ban people from random countries from ever f***ing visiting here. We're going to take our shoes off at the airport forever. But when we do it to ourselves, nothing. Is it that the only acceptable deaths are those that are made in America? Our only response now is to tally up the psycho scoreboard on whose side the perp belongs to? I honestly would like to know. Like, it makes no sense. It's jarring cognitive dissonance. This is Senator Mike Lee, all right? Great state of Utah, which, by the way, suffered a tragic shooting death at one of their No Kings events over the weekend. And just a little backstory. I've met Senator Lee. He's the best. In 2019, when we were trying to get permanent reauthorization of the Ray Pfeiffer, Louis Alvarez Droga Act, we met with Senator Mike Lee in his office down in Washington. We had a team of Feel Good Foundation and a team of first responders with us. Firefighters, cops, other people. One of the cops had been in the first tower when it collapsed, right? So all these first responders are going around the table, and they are sharing their stories to try and get Senator Mike Lee to support this bill that's going to provide life-saving coverage and money to the victims of this terrible terrorist attack and the illnesses they are suffering since then. When the one cop says his story about being in the tower that collapsed and the aftermath, when he told Senator Lee about that experience, Senator Lee smiled and said, I bet you've got a lot of stories. Of like what? Spring break? Like, what are you talking about? We met a lot of people in Washington. Some were hopeful, some of those meetings. Some were upsetting meetings. That was the only meeting where we all walked out and looked at each other and went, what the is wrong with that guy? The only one. I say this for context, for why I use Senator Lee as the avatar for the insanity of this moment. Here he is on the Senate floor talking about why he is for these, you could call draconian immigration policies.
The tragic case of Lakeland Riley, a life cut short by an illegal alien. Her case represents hundreds of thousands of families across this nation whose lives have been upended by the invasion that our leaders allowed to happen.
Now, look, he's right to be upset at our leaders for allowing unsafe conditions to happen. That's fine. Here's Mike Lee tweeting this weekend about the assassination of a Democratic legislator and her husband, just hours after we all learned about this tragedy.
Republican Senator Mike Lee of Utah posted a picture of the suspect at the door of one of the lawmakers with the caption, "This is what happens when Marxists don't get their way."
And by the way, he didn't just post that. He didn't just post that. He pinned that to the top of whatever the it is that you pin stuff on Twitter, your Twitter refrigerator to show off your Twitter work. And then to let all of us know that that is not the depth of his depravity, that he can go deeper, he posted this.
The senator posted another picture with the caption, "Nightmare on Wall Street," mocking, of course, the name of the Minnesota governor.
Okay, first of all, Elm Street to Wall Street is a shitty pun. As a comedian, I must object. You've got Wolf of Wall Street just sitting there. And second, I truly want to know why, in his mind, one death, the hands of an immigrant, is worth $150 billion of border security, a militarization of American cities. Well, just the blue cities. I know the undocumented immigrants in red state fields are the good ones now, suddenly. That and I guess Mar-a-Lago hospitality workers. But I want to know why those deaths in Minnesota are worth only a night of edgelord shitposting. No billions for mental health, no stopping illegal weapons trafficking, no nothing. We should ask him why. I bet he's got some stories to tell.